3/4 of cruise passengers say they never get packing right, with most of you overpacking. Well, certainly that's what over 5,000 of you said in a poll on my channel. So I'm going to show you how I moved from being one of those consistent overpackers for every single cruise to cutting down what I take now by more than half, and yet still having absolutely everything that I need. And if you find my approach helpful, I have a link to download my cruise packing checklist to try out on your next cruise. I'm Gary Bembridge, and let's go cruise packing. My first 2 cruises were no-fly cruises, and so, like everybody else, I could take any size and as many cases as I wanted, so I did. But I then faced a real cruise packing challenge because my next cruise was traveling across the Atlantic on Cunard's QE2 and flying back. So I had to deal with 2 big issues. First of all, I could only take 1 check-in case, 1 carry-on. I had weight and size limits which were set by the airline, but that was compounded by the fact that Cunard has really strict dress codes. You need black tie, tuxedo and suits. But also I knew that I would be at sea for 7 days. So if I left anything behind, there was no chance to pop out to the shops to get it, and I had to rely on the onboard shops having it, and I had no idea what they did or didn't stock. So I discovered the very first rule of smart cruise packing: choose a suitcase and a suitcase size before even starting to think about what to pack. What I used to do, I used to sort out what I wanted to take, pile it all up, and then decide on the suitcase. What I learned was work the other way around. It leads to, perhaps not surprisingly, really easy self-editing. You'll be surprised what a difference it makes. So for a 7-night or even longer cruise, including 10 weeks of a world cruise, my suitcase choice is basically now a medium size. It's easy to maneuver around. It also means I can use self-disembarkation at the end of the cruise because I can carry everything myself, which means I can get off early and fast. So my first packing transformation: choose the suitcase before you start to pack. Set your packing limit up front. Fine, but then how do I still fit everything I need into this particular suitcase? What I do is I slash what I need to take on most cruises by deciding simply to do laundry. Pretty basic, but again, it works. There are 4 options that I check out and you can check out. First of all, are there passenger laundry rooms on board? Many lines do, and it's either free or dirt cheap to use, if you excuse the pun. Secondly, is free laundry included, which it often is if I'm traveling in a premium cabin and on luxury lines. Thirdly, do I get free or heavily discounted laundry as part of my loyalty benefits, for example, on Cunard? Or does the line that I'm cruising on run those fantastic partway through the cruise, all you can fit into a laundry bag for $15, $20 or similar promotions? Now, most cruise lines, many cruise lines that do 7-night cruises in popular regions like the Caribbean, the Mediterranean and Alaska, they offer these, and I use this a lot. It's a fantastic, good way of cutting what you pack and being pretty inexpensive. But even still, before I get into actually physically sorting out clothes, I do one more thing. I walk through each day of the cruise, decide and jot down what I will need in the day on any activities or excursions, and then in the evening. So those 3 things. This means I can then take account of what is needed and make sure I don't forget things like socks, shoes, underwear, belts and the like, because I literally think from head to toe as I work through that particular thinking. So I think through what will I be doing each day, where will I be, and then using that grid with those 3 rows, day, activity, evening, and then a column for each of the days, I simply think through what I'm going to be doing. So for example, if it's a sea day, it might just be, say, a t-shirt, shorts, underwear, flip-flops, and in the evening it might be a long sleeve shirt, smart trousers, belt, socks, underwear, smart shoes, whatever it happens to be. The next day it may be a beach excursion, so I will add in swimming trunks, a cap. In the evening it might be the same as the first day, and so on. It sounds kind of basic, but I count up what each item is, and then I do what most people say is the ultimate packing guide, but I do it without getting anything out of my cupboards, is I cut that count in half. So for example, instead of saying 2 long sleeve shirts on 2 days, I take 1 long sleeve shirt for 1 day. So I basically cut the number needed from, say, 7 to 3 or 4. I can wear the same shorts for 2-3 days, same smart trousers, and so on. So as I work through that day-to-day planner though, there are 4 big things that I check for which are cruise specific, because they probably mean that you do need to pack unique things. And if you don't do that, you'll find you don't have what you need. So these are the 4 things I really asked myself. First of all, are there any unique itinerary requirements? Now, most of these are actually weather related. So let me give you an extreme example. When I went to the Arctic and then when I went to Antarctica, I needed special multiple layers. The different layers, I need boots, warm hats, gloves, waterproof outerwear, and so on. But before I add them to my packing list, I then check if I can hire any of these specific things I need on the ship or by excursion providers rather than take them. Yes is often the answer. Immediately you can scrap having to buy and take all of those things. Probably a more common example of a weather-related thing is somewhere like Alaska, where you probably also need layers and you probably need some kind of waterproof outerwear. Now, if I do have to take something bulky like that, like a big coat for Alaska, what I do is not aim to put in my suitcase. I wear or I carry them to the ship rather than take up space in my case. I know a lot of ladies will take their very smart gowns and they'll actually carry those. Also, as an aside, by the way, I wear jeans to board the ship because they take up more space than shorts. So thinking about what I wear is part of my packing. Number two, any dress code or theme party requirements I think through. Now, there are not many lines that have strict dress codes, and so there's normally not much need to take extra usually. Now, the big exception is, of course, Cunard that I was talking about earlier. For formal nights, they're really strict. You need kind of a black tie or a tuxedo or a dark suit. You need a tie and suit, and ladies need cocktail dresses or even fancier for those nights. So you do have to then factor those in, but most lines at best have a really relaxed approach to formal nights. And I can normally get away with simply wearing a long sleeve shirt, some smart trousers, the equivalent, of course, for ladies. And even on formal nights, I don't need a suit, I don't need a jacket, so I don't take it. I also, importantly though, check if there are any themed party nights, like, for example, Azamara's White Night Party, because then I want to include some white clothes. You'll find in most cases the parties are color themed, or really easy, like, I don't know, pirates or tropical island. Make sure that you've taken something for those so you kind of feel that you fit in and get in the party spirit. The third one is activity requirements. Now, I've already touched on those earlier, but I do, as I consider day by day, really think about activities I will be doing in port and on the ship, and if there's anything specific that's needed. Let me give an example. I like going on the behind the scenes tours on board, but you have to wear closed-toed, non-slip shoes for those, so you need to factor that in. I like doing exercise classes and particularly cycling, so if I have room, I like to bring my cycling shoes and cycling shorts to be able to do spin classes if they offer them. When it comes to excursions, I like doing cycling, hiking, other active excursions and beach tours. So again, it's about thinking through, do you need any of those specific things packed? The fourth area that I think through is shoes. Shoes. This is a big problem. Now, when cutting down the number of items overall to pack and from the planner to pack, the challenge I've found is shoes. Shoes take up a lot of space. So what I usually do and what I've learned over time is I only take 3 pairs of footwear. And at a push, if I'm going on a really smart cruise like Cunard, maybe 4. So I take a pair of very casual shoes, so like flip-flops or sandals. I can use those for the beach, I can use those to walk around the ship on sea days, I can use them to go to the pool, I can use them to go to breakfast or whatever. So really, really informal. Secondly, I take a pair of trainers that I can use if I'm going hiking, cycling, if I'm doing those behind the scene tours, I can use them for exercise. And then thirdly, a pair of smarter shoes that I actually normally wear to get on the ship with my pair of jeans, again to save space and luggage. And those shoes need to be smart enough to wear with my smart trousers. They may not match perfectly, but they are certainly smart enough. If I'm going on something really smart like Cunard and perhaps wearing a suit or a tuxedo, then I take a suitable pair for that. But shoes is a big thing that you need to focus on to reduce the amount of space. Now, the next consideration is around what non-clothes items I need to have space for. There are 4 areas that I make decisions on. Number 1, essentials. Your passport, your cruise documentation, your insurance documentation. Nowadays, any medical or test requirements at the time that you sail. And of course, things like credit cards, cash, whatever you're taking. That's pretty obvious. The second one is my phone and other appliances. Now, try and minimize these. For example, can I use my phone and not take a camera? Now, of course, for me, the answer to that is no, because I take a range of camera stuff to make videos like this one, all of which I take in my carry-on though to keep it to hand, and also because it's valuable, I really want to keep it with me. Remembering, of course, to include chargers. Every time I pack, I put the charger and that item out. The third area is toiletries and first aid kit. Now, I cover this in much more detail in another video, but I always limit myself to only cover the days that I'm on board. I consider what the line will supply, and I tend to take travel sizes, but I don't take big sizes that are going to last for much longer. Fourthly, and you'll see this if you download my packing list, that I have a section that I call my must-haves. These are kind of things like, say, my medication, but it includes for me eye shades, earplugs, and my portable speakers to listen to music in my cabin. These are things that don't really make necessarily sense, but I want to take with me. So you might have tea bags or certain types of treats or things that you take on a vacation that just make you happy, or you'd actually miss not having them at all. Then with all of this still in my mind and the count of what I need to get done and so on, it's only then that I actually start taking out the clothes and the items and set about the actual process of packing. And you'll be surprised, I found that having thought through the stages, this has become faster, it's become simpler, it's become easy, and in fact, I'm not taking too much stuff. I actually pack using my packing list PDF, which uses the framework I've spoken about that helps you pack, but you don't really need to use a checklist if you've thought it all through. But I do go through that list and tick everything off and make sure that I haven't forgotten anything. If you think this could help you, you can download my packing checklist at tipsfortravelers.com/packing. And remember, it's travelers with 2 L's if you do want to download it. For more packing tips, including things that you are not allowed to take on board, I have this playlist which has these in, so you can click and watch those now and find out more about packing. Enjoy.